Back now with the shocking scene in Nashville last week as the Tennessee House of Representatives voted to expel 3 lawmakers after protesting gun violence on the House floor following the city's Covenant school shooting.
Yeah, 2 of the 3 have been ousted now, as you know, and are fighting to get their jobs back. Joining us right now, the group known as the Tennessee 3, Tennessee State Representative Gloria Johnson and newly expelled State Representatives Justin J. Pearson and Justin Jones. Thank you so much for taking the time. We know it's a busy day and you have to get back for a vote. But Representative Pearson, when you took to the floor with the bullhorn, you say you knew it would be violating decorum rules. But did you have any idea that the backlash would be like this from your colleagues?
No, we had no idea that what we were doing would break a rule that could lead to our possible expulsion or our actual expulsions. What we were doing was listening to voters who said that we need to listen to the people who want to have gun safety laws. We need to stop the epidemic of gun violence, and we need to stop the proliferation of weapons in our communities in addition to our schools. This was a tragedy that happened at the Covenant School in Nashville, but instead of addressing the tragedy, the Republican supermajority in Tennessee decided that using our First Amendment right to listen to the thousands of protesters deserved expulsion.
Representative Jones, when did you realize that you may actually lose your job over this?
I think the escalation that we saw was when the House Speaker Cameron Sexton went on national news and lied and compared this to January 6th insurrection. That was the escalation where we started hearing these calls for expulsion because he mischaracterized what we did at a protest to try and end gun violence with the violent events on January 6th.
So you brought a bullhorn to the floor, and then the next day I was talking to Representative Johnson. The next day something happened that one would argue was worse decorum than what happened when you brought the bullhorn to the floor. Tell me about that.
We walked to the floor of the well because we were being silenced by the speaker and by people in positions of power who weren't listening to the thousands of people who showed up to the Capitol saying to do something. We walked to the well of the floor in a peaceful protest because we know that there is a way to end and to prevent gun violence from happening. And the Republican Party in Tennessee would rather try to put more guns and security officers in schools than solutions. And right now what we are seeing is the erosion of our democracy. What we are seeing is an attack not only on the First Amendment, but the erosion of our democracy that should be of concern to everybody, regardless of political party.
But the next day,
what he was referring to was the incident with this. Remember when they read our expulsions out, and the people in the gallery got vocal, and then the altercation that you had.
Yeah, so you actually got shot.
Lafferty.
So Representative Lafferty from Knoxville, in response to me trying to record the people and media being kicked out of the House gallery, snatched my phone and pushed me. And that obviously was a breach of decorum. But as we see, there's not accountability when it comes from people on their side. You know, for us, for a mere act of nonviolent protest, immediate expulsion. But for an act of violence, an act of instigating a reaction, there is no remorse and no accountability.
And there was like a huddle on the floor of at least 15, I guess, legislators trying to separate people and that sort of thing. And that to me is far more disturbing than just listening to the people and telling them that we see them and we are there for them.
Let's talk about the racial dynamic here, because a lot of people have noticed Representative Johnson is a white woman. You were not expelled. The 2 of you were expelled, and people are looking at this going, okay, what's really going on here? What do you take of all of this?
Yeah, we cannot ignore the racial dynamics that are undergirding actually this institution within the state capitol. And we really have to make sure that in this conversation we are not only addressing the racial dynamic, but why were expulsion papers filed on any of us? The reason was because we were advocating for an end of gun violence. We said we have to stand up to the National Rifle Association and the Tennessee Firearms Association that is big donors and supporters of a lot of people in the Republican Party of Tennessee. We're here and we had papers filed and were expelled not only because we had a peaceful protest, but it was what we were talking about, which was listening to the millions of Tennesseans who actually want to see change. That's what ended up happening, and going against that status quo that says you need to be silent and you need to be controlled by people in power and you don't need to listen to your constituents like Larry Thorne and his mother. That is what got that resistance to the status quo is what led to our expulsion. What do you think?
I mean, I think there's no coincidence that the 2 young youngest black lawmakers, I'm 27, Representative Pearson is 28, were kicked out by an almost entirely white 75-member caucus on strictly partisan lines. It was a political lynching. It was an attempt to make a spectacle, an example out of us, to say, how dare you think you are equal? And what they're doing is, which is the most egregious part, it's not about us, but it's about the 78,000 people each of us represent, predominantly black and brown constituents who have no voice on Capitol Hill right now, no one to do their constituent relations, no one to speak for them. It's about the people whose voices have now been suppressed. Their will, as duly elected lawmakers, we've been ousted, and now they have no representation on Capitol Hill.
But what? Go ahead.
And our voters knew who we were. They knew that we were loud, we were vocal about the issues, and they voted for us for that very reason.
And just quickly in the time that we have left, your hopes of getting back there. I know you have to get back today for a vote. What's happening there?
So the city council is voting to reappoint me. I know Representative Pearson on Wednesday, the county commission in Shelby County. But the question is going to be if the Speaker of the House, Cameron Sexton, is going to try and obstruct democracy once again. But my hope is not in Cameron Sexton or the Republican supermajority. It's in these young people who took to the Capitol and who are really our transformational force for change in our state and across this nation.
I know you have a flight to catch. Justin J. Pearson, Justin Jones, and Tennessee Representative Gloria Johnson, we thank you, all three of you, for being here and being here and talking about this subject.
Well, hey there, GMA fans. Robin Roberts here. Thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Lots of great stuff here. So go on, click the subscribe button right over here to get more of awesome videos and content from GMA every day, anytime. We thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the morning on GMA.